As we continue our look at the impact of crime and violence on families in some of the areas now under a state of public emergency, this evening we go to Westmoreland. We got a first-hand account of the character of Mark James, who was killed on the weekend at his home along Seaton Crescent in Savannah, Lamar.
Imagine rebuilding your life after years of struggle.
Her family said they didn't know who could hate her enough to murder her, but police said her son killed her.
Only to have it stolen in a single night.
Victorians caught in the state's surging crime wave are demanding action to put them before the offenders.
Bobby Miller had just escaped a bitter divorce, bought a new home, and enrolled in college, ready for a fresh start. But on Halloween night 2010, she was brutally murdered in her own home, alongside her beloved dog. No forced entry, no robbery, just cold-blooded execution. 14 years later, her case sits unsolved, buried under bureaucracy and unanswered questions. Is her killer still out there, watching? Stay with us as we uncover the shocking details authorities won't talk about. Today, we will be discussing a case that has recently marked its 14-year anniversary, the tragic murder of Roberta Bobby Miller. Bobby was a lively, caring, and strong-willed woman whose life was taken far too soon, leaving behind countless unanswered questions and an ongoing pursuit for justice. She was a devoted mother, a cherished friend, and a valued member of her community. Having recently emerged from a turbulent divorce, Bobby was embracing a fresh start, moving into a new home, enrolling in college, and planning for a promising future. However, that new beginning was abruptly cut short. On Halloween night in 2010, in Guilford, New Hampshire, Bobby was brutally murdered in her own home, alongside her beloved dog, who suffered the same cruel fate. The investigation that followed was marred by mismanagement, scarce resources, and a frustrating lack of progress. Now, her case is among the more than 130 cold cases currently stored at the New Hampshire Attorney General's office, right alongside the infamous disappearance of Maura Murray. Bobby's brother, Ken, has become a relentless advocate for justice, demanding accountability from the authorities who were entrusted with solving her murder. Yet, despite 14 years passing, Bobby's family remains met with silence and the terrifying reality that her killer may never be brought to justice. This case represents not only the loss of an incredible woman, but also a system that has failed her and her loved ones at every turn. A pattern tragically repeated in so many other cases. Let's explore the details of Bobby's life and the shocking failures in the investigation that followed her murder. Bobby Miller was born on September 25, 1956, into a large and energetic family. With 4 sisters and 1 brother, her childhood was filled with activity and companionship. When she was 7, her family relocated to a picturesque farmhouse in Bedford, New Hampshire, searching for more space and a better environment to raise their children. Growing up on a farm fostered Bobby's love for the outdoors. She spent her early years tending to the animals, particularly enjoying time with the ponies, which quickly became her favorite. The Miller home was a lively place, often filled with friends, and Bobby was the heart of it all. Known for her fearless spirit and infectious laughter, she had an innate ability to bring people together. Her charisma, adventurous nature, and diverse interests allowed her to connect with almost everyone she met. She had a passion for outdoor activities, from dirt biking to hiking and sailing. Yet, alongside her love for adventure, she also possessed an artistic side. She enjoyed writing, sewing, and working with stained glass, crafting intricate masterpieces that she gifted to her family, treasured reminders of the beauty she left behind. Despite the challenges that come with having many siblings, Bobby was always their protector. Though she had a rebellious streak, she balanced it with an obedient and strategic charm that made her a favorite in her father's eyes. She was the type to return home just minutes before curfew, but would then sneak out again once the lights were out, fully embracing the excitement of her youth. Bobby graduated from West High School in Manchester in 1975. True to her adventurous nature, she and a friend impulsively moved to Arizona without a plan, relying on her fearless determination to make things work. After a year of exploration and adventure, she returned to New Hampshire, moving into an apartment in Manchester and working as a waitress to make ends meet. It was during this time that she met Gary Miller, a young man who quickly captured her attention. Gary was ambitious, working as a bouncer by night and a mechanic by day. His drive to build a successful life impressed Bobby, and by 1981, the couple married. They soon moved to the Midwest for Gary's career aspirations, and in 1984, they welcomed their first child, a daughter named Jennifer. A son, Jonathan, followed shortly after. Wanting to return to their roots, the Millers moved back to New Hampshire, settling in the lakeside town of Wolfboro. Gary successfully opened 3 businesses, 2 auto dealerships, and a tire shop, while Bobby focused on raising their children and contributing to the community. She was known for her kindness and generosity, going so far as to give away furniture to those in need, drive elderly neighbors to church, and shovel snow-covered driveways for those who couldn't do it themselves. However, behind closed doors, their marriage was crumbling. The stress of Gary's business ventures, shifting family dynamics, and mounting financial pressures created irreparable fractures. In June 2007, after 26 years of marriage, Bobby and Gary separated. By September of that year, Bobby filed for divorce. What followed was a grueling 3-year legal battle over finances and property, culminating in their divorce being finalized on August 13, 2010. Bobby was awarded their home in Wolfboro, while Gary retained their cabin in Acton, Maine. She was required to sell the house and split the proceeds with Gary, while he was to do the same with his businesses. Determined to move forward, Bobby wasted no time in beginning a new chapter. She purchased a small ranch home in Guilford, adopted a Labrador for companionship, and enrolled in Granite State College to study business. Despite the hardships of her recent past, she embraced the opportunity to redefine her future. On Halloween night, 2010, Bobby's life was tragically stolen. She had spent the previous days with friends, enjoying dinners and making plans for her home. That evening, after running errands at Lowe's, she returned home for a quiet night, expecting no trick-or-treaters. She had a school paper due at midnight and intended to spend the rest of her evening working on her house. The following afternoon, on November 1st, Bobby's son, Jonathan, discovered her lifeless body in the kitchen. She had been shot twice with a shotgun, once in the face and once in the back of the head. Her dog had been killed in the same brutal manner. Authorities arrived swiftly, shutting down the street and launching an investigation. The scene indicated that the attack was personal, not random. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing of value had been taken, including over $20,000 in cash and checks that remained untouched. Strangely, neighbors, located less than 200 feet away, reported not hearing the shotgun blasts. From the outset, the investigation was plagued with missteps. Resources were stretched thin due to other active cases, and public communication was virtually non-existent. Local officials, the press, and even Bobby's family were kept in the dark. This lack of transparency only heightened public concern and eroded trust in law enforcement's handling of the case. Over the years, suspicion has been cast on several individuals, including Bobby's ex-husband Gary and her son Jonathan, both of whom had tumultuous relationships with her. However, despite various investigative leads, no arrests have been made. Bobby's family continues to push for answers. They have increased the reward for information to $55,000, placed billboards throughout the area, and persistently called for the Attorney General's office to take action. Yet, 14 years later, the case remains unsolved. Bobby Miller deserves justice. Her family, friends, and community deserve closure. This case is yet another painful reminder of the system's failures and the heartbreaking reality of cold cases. It is our responsibility to keep these stories alive, to push for accountability, and to demand justice for Bobby and countless others like her. The silence around Bobby's case is deafening, but it's not the only one. What happens when power and influence protect the guilty? Don't miss our next video, Shadow of Guilt, the untold story of a high-profile cover-up. Hit subscribe now because the truth doesn't wait, and neither should you.